Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 16 and compare it against the iPhone 14 Plus and see how both these phones compare in 2024. Now, these phones, obviously the iPhone 16 just came out, so this phone just came out in 2024. But the thing I will tell you between both these phones, right, is that number one, you can't really go wrong with the iPhone 16. This really is one of the best iPhones you can probably buy. It's a really, really good device overall. And I do think with something like the iPhone 14 Plus, this is one of those phones that's still available in the brand new market. You can still purchase it. But I will tell you, there's probably more of a reason to buy the iPhone 16 than to buy the iPhone 14 Plus. So we'll talk about that throughout this whole entire video. First things first though, if you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, you can see that basically the iPhone 14 Plus is a significantly bigger phone than the iPhone 16. So the 14 Plus is going to be giving you a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. And this type of panel, this type of phone is very, very solid. I appreciate this panel a lot. It's a 60 Hz panel. It gets kind of bright, but it's not like the brightest panel of all time. And it's a good looking display. But I do think when compared to other phones that have now recently kind of came out, this phone is a little bit outdated as you probably would have expected. You know, things like the notch, things like 60 Hz. But the iPhone 16 isn't like that much better. But from a display perspective, I would definitely say something like the iPhone, 14 Plus isn't really that bad. With the iPhone 16, this is a little bit of a different story here. So with the iPhone 16, this type of phone, you're getting a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So it's the same type of technology, but it is a significantly smaller panel in almost every single way. So with a phone like the iPhone, 16, this type of phone is going to be giving you a fairly high resolution. It's giving you the dynamic island, which is very nice to have. And it's a pretty good panel. It's a pretty good phone, right? I do think the 16 is overall better. It's also a brighter panel just by a little bit. So those types of things I think are very, very important to have. I think the iPhone 14 Plus is a good phone too, but the 16 definitely is better. It's also a smaller phone. It's probably easier to hold in the hand as well. On the sides, you're getting flat sides on both. The iPhone 16 is giving you the action button on one side and the camera button on the other. So these things are actually very cool. You can go and, click on those buttons. You can take photos and videos, different things like that. And I do think those things are very, very important things to have. And I really do appreciate having those types of things. With the iPhone 14 Plus, you're just getting that like silencer, like the ringer on-off switch. So keep that in mind, but that's kind of how both those phones kind of compare there. But there's a very big difference on the bottom here. With the bottom of the iPhone 14 Plus, you're getting a lightning port on this phone, which I think is massive. I love having a lightning port, and that is a very, very cool thing to have. With the iPhone 14 or the iPhone 16, you're basically getting that USB Type-C port. So having USB Type-C is super cool. As always, I love having USB-C, and you're basically getting that type of capability on that phone as well. So USB-C is significantly better. All my ports, all my everything that I use is basically USB-C. So I really do appreciate having that type of capability there. And just those things in and of itself are super, super important things to have. So on the back side, you're getting a frosted glass back on the back of the iPhone 16, whereas you're getting a standard glass back on the iPhone 14 Plus. Wireless charging, MagSafe capability, pretty much a lot of overlap here too, but I would probably say if you're getting a phone that's going to feel more expensive and just better, it probably is going to be something like the iPhone, 16. That one is going to be the better one overall in pretty much every single way. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. From the brand new market price tag side, the iPhone 14 Plus is $699. The 16 is $799, so a $100 difference in the brand new market, but you can get the iPhone 14 Plus in the used market for a cheaper price. So just kind of keep that in mind too. You can always swing for that one because it's been out for like about 2 years now. In terms of the camera side of things, the iPhone 14 Plus and the iPhone 16 are both giving you dual camera setups. Now the interesting thing here is that with the iPhone 14 Plus, that type of phone is giving you that diagonal camera. The iPhone 16 is giving you that vertical camera now. So this in and of itself is a very interesting thing here. And I would probably tell you for the most part, if you're going to go through and like pick up a phone, it is a really nice thing to basically have something like the iPhone 14 Plus here and the 16 both giving you wide and ultra wide cameras. Now, pretty much one of the first things the iPhone 14 Plus is basically giving you that, it's giving you half the amount of zoom basically as the iPhone, as the iPhone 16. So you're getting 1x zoom, aka 5x zoom on the iPhone 14 Plus, where you're getting 2x zoom on the iPhone 16. So these things are very important to have. I think it's very, very important to basically have a phone. So I think those things are very, very important. You're getting 4K at 60 on the front and the back on both of them. But I think these things in and of itself are very, very important things to have. So I will tell you, even with the iPhone 16 having spatial photo and video and macro photography, I don't really even think that's like that big of a deal, genuinely. So if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, I definitely will tell you the iPhone 16 is better, but the 14 Plus really isn't that far behind, and I really do feel like both phones are pretty solid when it comes down to it. Now, on top of that, some other big things to keep in mind here too. Number one, you're basically getting a super long-lasting phones between both. So both these phones are going to be lasting for a long period of time, and that is something that's very, very nice to have, right? Like if you're going to, go through and pick up a phone, I love being able to go through and buy a phone that's going to be giving me like pretty solid experience. And that's exactly what's going on here. Now, I will tell you, if you're wanting the longer lasting phone, it definitely is going to be something like the iPhone 16. This is going to be the phone that's going to last longer. It's going to be a better performing phone in almost every single way. And I definitely will tell you, just from that side in and of itself, very, very important thing to keep in mind. But beyond that, still both phones are great. Again, there's not really anything super crazy going on here. I think both phones do a pretty good job at, handling everything you pretty much throw at it for the most part. Now, on top of that, another very big thing going on here is the performance. So both phones are giving you pretty good performing chipsets and everything for the most part. You're getting the Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of the iPhone 14 Plus with 6GB of RAM. With the iPhone 16, you're getting the Apple A18 chip inside of it with 8GB of RAM. So just, those things in and of itself, again, super, super big thing to keep in mind here. I would say from a performance perspective, with something like the iPhone 16 Plus, or the iPhone 14 Plus for that matter, this is still a pretty good performing phone, right? It's still up there, one of the better performing iPhones you can buy. I would say the only thing that's missing out on this phone compared to something like an iPhone, 16, maybe that newer chipset is more important than the less amount of RAM. I think the RAM is totally fine, like it's not the biggest deal in the world, but that chipset and the things that it brings is actually pretty cool. It's just a faster performing device. But I have done many, many comparisons between an iPhone 16, 15, 16, 14, 16, 13, so on and so forth. You don't really start noticing the big massive differences until you hit like the 13 series to the 16s. So just that in and of itself, I wouldn't really go and be too worried about. So I think that in and of itself is another big thing to keep in mind, because you're not really going to notice like these big massive differences between these two phones until you start hitting the iPhone 13 series. So I think the iPhone 14 Plus is still going to be very, very good for the most part as well. So overall, what I'll probably tell you is that with something like the iPhone 16 and the 14 Plus, like if you're trying to get the phone that's the better one, like if you're trying to get the phone that's like the better one here, it clearly is probably going to be something like the iPhone, 16. I feel like this phone is going to be the significantly better one. It's going to be giving you better quality, better capability, just better everything throughout the board. And that's the phone that I look at as probably being the better one here. I think with something like the iPhone, 14 Plus, I feel like this is a very, very great phone. It's such an awesome phone. And I think, the 14 Plus is still a very good phone too. But if I have all the money in the world, I'm going for the iPhone 16. I probably wouldn't even think about the iPhone 14 Plus. And if I wanted to go and get a better phone, I probably would either buy an iPhone 15 Pro in the used market, considering you can buy those things for probably around like $700 to $800. I think that phone will probably be better than something like an iPhone 14 Plus and an iPhone 16. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.